Welcome to VGK Today, a daily podcast providing you an inside look at the Vegas Golden Knights 2025 Stanley Cup playoff run. I'm Justin Russo with the Golden Knights on Thursday, May 1st, as the VGK face the Wild tonight in Game 6 with a chance to move on to the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Now the Knights are coming off of 2 straight overtime wins in this series, which has them back in the driver's seat after falling behind 2-1 earlier on. And while a less dramatic win would be a welcome sight in Game 6, if the Knights can get it done in any way tonight, they'll take it, as we hope for handshakes tonight in St. Paul. To help set the stage for Game 6, when we come back, we welcome Ashali Vise. Golden Knights fans, if you want to enjoy Game 6 tonight with your fellow medieval maniacs, well, you can head down to the official watch party at Stadium Swim at Circa Resort and Casino. Of course, the game time is at 4:30, but doors will open at 3:30 at Stadium Swim, and anybody wearing VGK gear gets in for free. Pretty good deal at Stadium Swim tonight. Now, I will remind you that this is a 21 and older venue, so consider that when you're making your plans, but a really fun venue tonight for a watch party for Game 6. The party will have a DJ, visits from the VGK cast, and raffle prizes including tickets to future Golden Knights games. Giveaways for all fans include VGK sunglasses, rally towels, and more. Again, watch party tonight for Game 6 at Stadium Swim at Circa Resort and Casino. Puck drops at 4:30, but doors open at 3:30, and if you wear your VGK gear, you get in for free.
Well, good wording and happy game day, Justin. As we've been reminded, watching this first round, there is nothing like playoff hockey, especially when it comes to an elimination situation. That's what the Minnesota Wild are facing here in Game 6. So we asked Bruce Cassidy, how is his message to his team different when they have the opportunity to close a door on a series than it is in any other game in a series? And his answer might surprise you.
The expression is it's the hardest one to win, right? But is it? Like, go back over the history. I'm going to go after our short history, and last year it was for both teams. It's 2-0. It's 1-1 into the third in a 7-game series. The previous years, not necessarily, or a year. We won some elimination games with big scores. So to me, the message is when a team's up against it, you've got to match their intensity early. You can't sit around and wait and say, oh, I got another chance, or that's the thing. Now all of a sudden you put some doubt in their mind if you're coming to play and push and getting to another level. So that'll be our message. We got another level to get to here. We know that. And we saw some of that in the first period, second period. So we got to stay at that level. That would be my message. Like, you know, put doubt in their minds by being on your game early, not kind of waiting to see what happens. Because in the back of your mind, I think as a player, like, oh, they're going to have a push right away because they're up against it. Well, why don't we have the push first? Like, get the first push and go from there. And then get hungry knowing that, you know, if you do get the lead, and that's what happened 2 years ago, then we put teams away by doing that. We were the better team early. So that would be my message. You don't have to go by what the conventional saying is the last one's the toughest. It might very well be. They're a really, really scrappy, hard-working, no-nonsense team. They're coming at you. So I suspect it will be, but we don't have to go in there with that mentality. Like, let's go get to another level. That would be my message.
And now we are joined by the VGK insider, Gary Lawless, as we have just arrived in St. Paul ahead of Game 6. And Gary, we just heard Bruce Cassidy talk about his take on what his message is ahead of elimination games. You've been here covering the Golden Knights since day one. What have you seen from them when they've had the opportunity to shut the door?
Well, I think he's referring really to the year that they won the Stanley Cup, right? They actually, if you go back to the year they went to the Western Conference Final, they went into Winnipeg, and Ryan Reeves scored a big goal for them. They won in Winnipeg to close out that series. They closed out 2 others that year as well. But if you go back to 2 years ago when they won the Cup, first round, they had a chance to get rid of Winnipeg. They did real quick. Game 6 against Edmonton, Marchessault has a big game. They get out of that series. Game 6 against Dallas. Will Carrier, Nick Waugh, Keegan Colasar were incredibly dominant early in that game. And then in Game 5 against Florida to win the Stanley Cup, Mark Stone took the team on his shoulders and just had a massive performance in that game. But they got on the other team early and never let them back in those games. And I think that is, you know, a good start last night and a pretty good start in Game 4 as well. They want to build on that. They Minnesota's a really good team, and if they get a little bit of life, they can push back. I think what Bruce is hoping for is that Vegas takes control of the game and never looks back.
Matchup-wise, how is this series compared to what you expected going in?
I was fooled. I'll be the first to admit it. I thought that the Minnesota team that Vegas saw the second half of the season was going to be the team that Vegas was going to play in this series, and I thought this could be over in 4 or 5, and Minnesota, with the return of Kaprizov, Brodin, and Eriksson Ek, have been much closer to the team they were in December when they were fighting Winnipeg for first place in the division, in the conference, and in the league.
What do you think has been the difference maker in the games?
Well, for me, I still think Vegas is better. They shoot themselves in the foot, and they did in games 2 and 3. And last night, after playing really good hockey for 40 minutes, third period, they got cute with the puck, a lot of east-west stuff, and Minnesota took advantage. They have to. I was searching for the word the other day. I asked Bruce about it. Then we went in the dressing room. I asked the players about it. What is the word? So Minnesota's going to be desperate in Game 6. What's the word that describes Vegas when they're really, at their best? And the response, Bruce gave a long answer. He couldn't pinpoint it to one word, but then he did say in the middle of it, invested. And then I went and I talked to Nick Hague, and I asked him the same thing. Nick Hague was the Scholastic Player of the Year, by the way, in the Canadian Hockey League. Not a lot of people know that. He's smart.
This is why we bring on the insider.
Yeah, someone who's been around a long time. He said committed. And he said to me, he goes, we can get a little overconfident because we have so much talent, and we try and do some things that stray from our fundamentals. But when we play our fundamental game, when we're committed to that style, we're a tough team to beat. So that's what you want to see from Vegas early on. Speaking
of the talent on the team, did you see Jack Eichel turn a corner?
I said on the television show last night, something broke. Like whether it was something physical or something mental, something he just held the puck. You saw the way he, on the shorthanded goal, when he sets up Karlsson, he just pushes Kaprizov away, leans in with his shoulder, and Kaprizov can't check him. And then on Mark Stone's goal, Jack goes into the corner with Brodin. Brodin is trying to check him. Jack takes one hand off of the stick and holds the puck and the stick with one hand and uses the other hand to push Brodin away. So and then makes the pass to Mark. So I do think that Jack was dominant in that respect. Bruce talked about that this morning, how the best players elevate at this time. That's why they're the best players. And I think we saw that from Jack, but I'm still waiting for one more thing from Jack, and that's to score a goal. And I think it would be pretty cool if he scored early in Game 6. I think that would be a pretty major confidence boost for him and his teammates.
Bruce Cassidy was honest when he shuffled his lines around that maybe the lines aren't as balanced as they were previously from a matchup standpoint. Does that make a bigger difference here on the road where they won't have last change?
Well, I don't agree with him. Karlsson and Eichel are a matchup nightmare. Stone and Hurdle, again, and Saad, that's a problem for teams. Nick Waugh, Riley Smith, and Ivan Barbashev, that's a problem. And then no one wants to consider Brett Howden like a dominant player. He's got 3 goals in this series and an overtime winner.
2
and
game winners.
Yeah, and that's the fourth line, right? And Tanner Pearson, Bruce talked about Pearson this morning, and I didn't know this. Actually, I did know this. Tanner, the year that Tanner won the Stanley Cup with the LA Kings, he played in the American League for most of that season, got called up, and I think they played 24 games. He played in 22 of them, playoff games. And he missed the first 2, didn't play in the first two, and then once he got in the lineup, he never came out, and he misses the first three of these series. And Tanner told himself, I've been here before. Didn't pout, didn't get down on himself. Instead, just used that experience to put himself in a good position. He goes, if I get called on, I'm going to be ready. And he's been good. It wasn't just the play on that set up. There was a couple of really good plays on the back check. I really liked his effort. And I always thought, like, when you go back to the year they won the Stanley Cup, Kelly McCrimmon gave Bruce different flavors in terms of his depth. So some nights he could use Teddy Bluger. Other nights he could go with a more offensive lineup. And, they had Phil Kessel, they had Jonathan Quick, they had Ben Hutton. They had lots of different options. Bruce has got that again. And now Dorofeev is listed as day-to-day. Well, if he can't play, Victor Olofsson just goes right in, and it's, Victor's probably waiting for his moment too. So I just think that the GM did his job, and the coach is really good at using the tools he's been given.
So fill in the blank. The series will be over in 6 if
Vegas is committed. If they don't turn the puck over at the in the neutral zone and give instant offense or easy offense to Minnesota, I think Vegas will win the game. Aiden Hill, I'm still waiting for a big-time performance from him. He's been fine. They're up 3-2 in the series. He only allowed 2 goals last night. Aiden has another level to give.
As you get ready for Game 6, be sure to check out VegasGoldenKnights.com for an incredible column written by Gary Lawless. And Gary, thank you for doing this. Enjoy the game.
Thanks, Ashley.
Big thanks to Ashley and Gary for helping us preview tonight's game. And as we heard a little bit of what Bruce Cassidy had to say about his preparation heading into an elimination game, let's get the perspective from the other side. Here was a short but impactful message from Minnesota coach John Hynes from yesterday.
Momentum doesn't carry game to game. Belief carries game to game. We have belief. We know we can win. We know we're playing a good series. We know we got to come out and win a hockey game tomorrow. So what's the process to do that? We've already started that from the end of last game till now. And that's really the reality. Just because they won doesn't give them momentum, right? Just because we lost doesn't mean we don't have any momentum. Doesn't mean we don't have any belief. Belief at this time of year, and I think through the year when you get that, that's the most important thing. Do you believe you can win a hockey game? Do you believe you can win a series? We certainly believe that.
Well, if committed is the word of the day for Vegas, belief is the word of the day for the Minnesota Wild, as both teams look to get a win in Game 6, and the Wild looking to extend their season as they face elimination down 3-2. We'll step aside once more, and when we return, we'll recap Wednesday night's Stanley Cup playoff action. Golden Knights fans, I remind you that the official VGK mobile app is the easiest way to keep up with the team. Plus, fans with the app will have the chance to win tickets to select playoff games. Download it today for Apple or Android. Also want to let you know that the Vegas Nighthawks are back at Lee's Family Forum coming up this Saturday, May 3rd, and next Saturday, May 10th. You can catch the fast-paced, family-friendly action of indoor football with tickets available at nighthawksfootball.com. It was a 3-game slate in the Stanley Cup playoffs on Wednesday night, with 2 teams looking to move on to round 2. First up, the Capitals hosted the Canadiens in an elimination game for Montreal, as the upstart Habs looked to take down a veteran Caps team that was the best in the East this season. Alex Ovechkin set the tone early in this one with a one-time power play goal at the midway point of the first period that broke the ice. And another Washington goal would soon follow off the stick of Jacob Chychrun that made it 2-0 after 1. Tom Wilson had the lone goal of the middle frame to extend that lead to 3, and despite an early third-period goal from Montreal's Emil Heineman, the Capitals would hold on the rest of the way for an eventual 4-1 win and clinch the series in 5 games. The Capitals will face the Carolina Hurricanes in round 2, who on Tuesday eliminated the New Jersey Devils on a double overtime goal by Sebastian Aho. So one team took care of business in a potential series-clinching game. Well, how about the other? Well, to find the answer, we head over to Tampa Bay, where the Lightning faced elimination at the hands of the Florida Panthers. Now, this one saw goals scored early and often, as the teams combined for 4 goals in the opening 12 minutes of the game for a 2-2 tie after 20 minutes. The star power then showed out in the middle frame as Alexander Barkov, Jake Gensel, and Sam Bennett all found the back of the net in what resulted in a 4-3 Panthers lead after 2 periods. Down by 1 then, with their backs against the wall, the Bolts needed a response to save their season, but they just couldn't find it, as Florida added 2 third-period goals to win the game 6-3 and move on to round 2 to continue their title defense. The Panthers don't yet know who they'll face in round 2 because they're waiting for the winner of the Toronto and Ottawa series in the next round. Right now, Toronto with a 3-2 lead in that first round series. Finally, from Winnipeg, we had a non-elimination Game 5 between the Jets and the Blues. Winnipeg's Kyle Connor ignited the whiteout crowd with a goal just 90 seconds into this one, but St. Louis would answer in short order to quiet the Jets faithful just over 2 minutes later on a goal from Nathan Walker. Nino Niederreiter got one back for the Jets before the end of the first, however, and Winnipeg carried a 2-1 lead into the intermission. In the second period, St. Louis's Jimmy Snuggerud tied the game, but the Jets responded with 2 goals of their own to actually increase their lead to 4-2 heading into the third period. It took quite a while into the third period to get our next goal, but it would come for the Jets, as the captain, Adam Lowry, put one into the empty net to extend the lead to 5-2 and close out the game. The Blues would add a late tally to get it to a 2-goal deficit, but it was just too little too late, as the Jets won this one 5-3 to take a 3-2 series lead back to St. Louis for Game 6. Another fun night of Stanley Cup playoff action, a fun 3-game slate, and the Golden Knights hoping that tomorrow will be just as fun for them as they look to join that list of teams that have clinched their spot in the second round. That'll just about wrap things up for today's show. Thank you as always for tuning into VGK today. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe on your preferred podcast platform, as we'll be back every day throughout the Knights' 2025 Stanley Cup playoff run with new episodes. Stay tuned tomorrow as Dave Gosher and Shea Knighty join us to recap Game 6 between the Knights and the Wild. Justin Russo signing off for VGK Today.